Good morning. My name is David Theus, and welcome to another episode of the Saturday Morning Coaching Call. And real time is 9:11 a.m. Saturday morning, March 26th. I'm looking over at my calendar, March 26, 2022. And this is brought to you by the Small Business Patriot. And I am the Small Business Patriot, David Theus again. And I'm joined this morning by Peggy Lynch. Hi, Peggy. How are you?
Good morning, David. I'm doing well. Thank you.
She is my sidekick for this morning, as several episodes will reveal. And the format, quickly, just in case you're joining us for the first time, is I am a small business consultant or coach, depending on how you like to say that. And I have an organization here in Clay County, Florida, Northeast Central Florida, that has probably 70 clients as members of our group. And we have historically offered this service to members of our group. We're thinking about opening it up to other small business folks in our community to have this platform, if you will, to come on Saturday morning, folks, to ask questions about their business and ask the coach, if you will, for some insights and some knowledge and some my over 30 years of experience of being in business and being around folks like yourselves that are small business owners. But the real benefit, so that I don't tout my head to get any bigger than it already is the reality is when we have several people in the room, maybe just myself and Peggy, or 2 or 3 or 4 other individuals in the room, that you get somewhat of a peer advisement. And so I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I say that all the time. And oftentimes there'll be someone that's joined us on the call who has some similar experience that person asking the question has. And what I do is I let others in the room weigh in with their knowledge and expertise. And then if I've got something to wrap up, to kind of button it up and put a bow on it, then I say my piece and we move on. So it's a cool platform. We're having fun with it. And I think it's, as I like to say, it's growing legs. So we'll see how this thing goes. We keep trying stuff. But again, we're here this morning to help each other, to be prosperous, to be more efficient, to be more profitable, and to stay vigilant against this regime, if you will, this regime in our national audience that's trying to squash us and put small business out of business. So without further ado, let's get started. So Peggy Lynch is with us this morning. Of course, she's got an unbelievably cool question, I'm sure. But I want Peggy, if you don't mind, to take just a few moments to introduce yourself and your company, and maybe give us a scope. I know you're kind of nationwide, but give us a little bit of a scope of who you are and what you do and so forth, and we'll get started. Go ahead.
Certainly. Okay, so Peggy Lynch with 21K Promotions. This is an industry that I've been in really for over 30 years, and now I'm on the distributor side, and I work with clients that would be any size business, organization, club, even individuals, in branding, getting the message out. So we incorporate promotional products and get their message out the door. So that's what I do. I've been around for a lot of years doing this. So
now I know that you represent your services, and can you give us a little idea about what parts of the country that you're either currently working in, or you have clients that are reoccurring?
Yes. I don't know that this is real typical, but I just finally printed off a little map of the United States because I'm starting to pick up clients in other states. I'm now in 7 states. And that's because you can work with people as long as you've got a laptop and you can text and you have a phone and so forth. It's always best, in my opinion, to be able to meet a client in person at least once, but from there you can do everything electronically. So yeah, I just highlighted the states that I'm in. So I'm in 7 states right now, and that's pretty exciting.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I think some time ago we spoke, maybe it was 5 or 6, so you may have picked up a state. That sounds cool.
I did.
The wonders of technology, here we are, we're on a Zoom call, and I'm in Clay County, Fleming Island, Clay County to be exact. And that's a county just south of Duval and just north of what are we, north of Volusia, maybe it is. And Peggy's in St. Johns County, which is, if I look out to my right-hand shoulder, that's the St. Johns River. I'm right up against the St. Johns River. And if I, probably as the crow flies, almost if I flew straight across the river and then hung a dog leg right just slightly to St. Augustine Beach area, that's where Peggy is. So you're 45 minutes away from me, probably, drive time. Yeah, so we're able to meet on Saturday morning. I know this isn't, people are like, well, gee, Dave, this has been going on a long time. But at 58 years old myself, I'm still mesmerized by the fact that we can, I can remember a time where I had pagers and flip phones that didn't have cameras on them. So, it's pretty cool that in the short amount of time, within 30 years, the technology has changed to the point where we can conduct business and do the things that we're doing right here. And of course, you can be on our YouTube channel and see us on YouTube at the Small Business Patriot. Or if you're listening to us via a podcast, this file creates an audio file as well. And you can find us on Spotify and other networks or platforms that handle podcasts like iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. We're not on Apple. We're not on Apple because I'm one of those Android guys. But our platform goes out over Spreaker, which is a kind of a hub for podcasting and a distribution channel. Most people have heard of Spotify, though. So you can find us on Spotify, iHeartTunes, like I said, Google Podcasts. There's a bunch of them out there. But The Small Business Patriot is the name of the show. And then The Small Business Patriot on Spotify. And this episode is the Saturday morning coaching call. Okay. Housekeeping complete.
Okay.
We're getting better at that, by the way. That's, if you say things over and over again 1,000 times, sometimes they start falling into memory. All right, well, let's get on with the show because I'm sure people are mesmerized by listening to me. So, Peggy, do you have a wonderful question that we can contemplate?
Well, typically, I know the format is, bringing questions, to the panel. Although this time I would just like to bring up, I'll call it a refresher. Okay.
Sure.
Because I think this would benefit any industry, any salesperson, any business owner. I just last week met with a brand new client for the first time in person. And, what we try to do as salespeople is silence ourselves a little bit and listen to the client. We've got to listen for their pain points and so forth. And this particular client had so much to say. I was just amazed. But I locked in on one word when he said previously the vendors he worked with, would sell him promotional products, and he does so many different things. He uses promotional products in so many different venues. But at no point did they gear it toward the particular event. It wasn't, as he said, purposeful. He said he wants products that are purposeful to the event. So it should be themed to include his logo and message, but themed to the event. So that's absolutely true in the promotional products industry. Although I think that no matter what your business is, you can still be purposeful in your message or your package or your product or your service to a client. So the key word is, and I say this was a refresher for me because we all know we're supposed to listen, okay? But when he used that word, I thought, oh gosh, I'm so glad I was listening, caught on to that because it means an awful lot. It became rather exciting for me to start sourcing product and ideas for him, because of that.
Awesome. So I'm flooding. So when you folks see me kind of tilt my head and look down, I'm writing notes. There's something a long time ago. I was one of those guys that went early on in my sales career, and I would talk to people. And I remember being out with one of my sales managers from a factory out in Toronto, Canada, and he was traveling with me that week. And we would finish a meeting. He goes, "Theus, you didn't write anything down." "Oh, I got it. Don't worry about it. I got it." He goes, I don't know. This is about our 6th appointment today, and you haven't written a single word down. What do you have?
Yeah.
And I was one of these, smart aleck young bucks, and I got the world by the tail kind of guy. And so
Mhm.
he said, let's take the last meeting we were in, since it was so fresh. Tell me about what the client said. And I started off with the kind of the greetings and the social yuckity yuck stuff. And then I got to where it should have been the meat and potatoes. And I was like, I don't know, the normal stuff. He wants this or that. And the guy pulls his notes out and he goes, well, did you catch this? Did you catch that? Did you catch this element that he alluded to or inferred? There's a lot of language that happens that's not in the spoken word. Sometimes it's body language, or sometimes it's the unspoken word. And I was like, no, I didn't get that. And so he was kind of a young fellow. He was probably 10 years older than I was at the time. And he coached me up and he said, Theus, listen, you've got one opportunity to be in front of these clients, and listening part you do very well, but we're going to see a lot of clients, and everyone starts to sound the same. But in those conversations are very delicate and important nuances that gives you the opportunity to set yourself apart from your competition, and to really come up with what we called a tailored approached solution, a tailored solution that you will instantly set yourself apart from your competition. And you just described it, because he said that other folks have never really done that. And by you being purposeful and listening to his inference and the things he said or didn't say, you came back with a themed approach that made sense for the event and solved his problem. And so is he going to use you again, or use you for, yes, because you get it. You immediately, that emotional transfer of empathy happened because you were listening, and he saw it and said, Peggy gets it. I can trust her now that she understands where I'm coming from. I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time I sit down with her and go, no, this is what I want. She gets it, and she's already tuned in. So in that moment, you were able to alleviate, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes of him having to re-explain himself. And, if he had the patience to get through that process, because that usually pisses people off. They're, oh God, I got to tell this person again what's going on. So you want a customer. I mean, that's awesome. So let me expand on that just a little bit more. Well, before I do that, do you have something? Does that make you spark anything that you want to talk about, or I got to get better at that transition?
Oh, no, that's fine. That's
Okay,
fine. I
okay.
just, yeah, we're good.
I'm conscientious of me. I get into a mental stream of consciousness, and I go. And so I'm trying to be better at, I got 5 things going on in my head at the same time. Part of it has to do with the coffee I had this morning, but that's okay. All right, so let me stay on this train of thought before I lose it. And I've got written down here. When we listen, and this is that participatory listening, like, I don't know if that's a word, but participatory listening, where that means you're engaged, it's purposeful, it's intentional. And that means you literally have shut off this conversation over here, this conversation. Ideally, if you have to get to a room or a scenario where you can concentrate, that's, a meeting space, that's helpful. If you're at Panera or somewhere like that and there's 10 other people around you, it may be a little bit more challenging. But the best thing is to have a notepad. Carry yourself a little notepad, something you can make decent legible notes in. So when you're done, you can, don't cheat yourself. You don't have to go into being a shorthand, longhand expert. Just take good notes and don't be afraid to say, hey, you just said something. I've almost caught it. Do you mind restating that for me so that I make sure that I get that note down perfectly? Because you're saying a lot of stuff that's very important, and I want to make sure I grasp it to the best of my ability. And when I leave this meeting, there's so many thoughts in my head I'm already starting to think about. I want to make sure that I understand fully what you're saying, because you're the important person here in this conversation. I want to customize or tailor a solution that best fits your needs and concerns. Wow, and that fancy language for saying, I want to make sure I get down what the heck you're saying. Because honestly, folks, people don't do this anymore. I'm around young people that are probably, early 20s. In part of my work, I'm involved in that. I'm around people that are our age and all points in between. And I don't know if we think we've got so much stuff going on and we're so busy, or it's just, I think it's more or less a societal issue that we've turned into this, it's all about me kind of thing going on. And so if it's all about me, I'm the biggest one in the room. I don't have time for the person I'm supposed to be listening to. That's another podcast, but I think that's reality what's going on. And so we have really got to be great listeners. And that's not cheap talk. That's the reality. And then we've got to be better note takers, So I learned from my guy in Toronto, Canada. He showed me the ropes and said, he embarrassed me about it, but that was a good coaching moment. And from that point, I started taking notes, because any Tom, Dick, or Harry can do what we do. There's, as your client customer mentioned, other vendors have come to them before and provided solutions that just weren't, I didn't ask for squeeze balls with an orange peel on it, whatever it was. Other people have come to him before him, and he's just had to kind of take whatever it is, because I guess this is what all there is to offer. But you brought a viable, working, purposeful, intentional solution to his problem that was customized and tailored to his problem and his issue. Wow. You saved me time. You gave me the most. And now ultimately, the success of that service, that product that you provided, it's on him. He's conjured up this thought in his mind, what he's looking for. He's relied upon you for some expertise to bring a creative solution piece to it. Because the thing about you and promotional products that you do is just what we're talking about. You look for themed approaches, and you look for customization that dovetails with the organization and the event that they're participating in. And so your success rate of being memorable, the client being memorable with these promotional products, is way up off the charts, because it's just another, I got a staple remover. Well,
Right.
I mean, if a staple remover is good, we're in an office show or something like that, then it's good. But if it's not, it's, what do I do with this? That kind of thing. So awesome. That is a great topic that each of us can use, I don't know, often, to be refreshed on, if you will, to be purposeful. I like that. And did he actually say purposeful?
He used that word purposeful. And as we got toward the end of the meeting, I said, I just want to tell you, I'm very enthused about working with you, because you've shared so much information with me, and you used a term that I just locked in, that just resonated with me, and that is purposeful. And I said, that's fantastic. We're going to be a good team together. So, yeah.
Yeah, think about that inference when he said, I'm so excited or enthused about working with you. I mean, and this is a first interaction with somebody?
It is. And actually, I told him I was enthused about working with him because of the fact that he shared so much information with me.
Okay, so in business, we're always talking about differentiation. And differentiation, by definition, for those who may not know that, is how do I make myself different from my competition?
Right.
I don't know why I always tell this story, but just to kick the dead horse for differentiation. Let me do this, because it's one of my favorite stories, and it may not be appropriate for everybody else, but who cares? So back in the day, when differentiation started to come to the marketplace, there were other like products on the market. You could pick an industry anywhere across the board, and you'd find like products. And so how are these people, the dairy industry, the milk industry, when you go to the grocery store and you buy milk, and when I worked for Publix, a local grocery supermarket chain here in Florida, when I was a young person in high school, I worked for Publix, and one of my jobs on Saturday morning was to clean the dairy case. And I won't get into all that. That's a nasty job, but you can only imagine after, okay, I don't want to expand on that. But the point is, when you go to the next time, go to the dairy case, now they're not cases where they sit down at your knee level. They're refrigerator doors that you open up. But go look at the selections of milk products, And what you start to see is a common theme on the gallon jugs. They're all using probably the same plastic milk jug supplier. It's not clear, but it's a white, it's not translucent because it's got kind of a fuzzy texture to it, but it's a white, you know the one I'm talking about. It's a white plastic jug. Well, there's a local dairy out of Orlando, where I'm originally from. I actually knew Mr. T.G. Lee. I actually fished in his backyard many a time for speckled perch on Lake. He lived on the chain of lakes in Lake Conway, and he lived on Crystal Lake. Sidebar. Anyway, so I don't think he came up with this, but his marketing people figured out we need to differentiate ourselves in the dairy case. And so they introduced this same plastic jug, this gallon jug, but it was opaque and yellow. Okay. And it was a solid yellow. It wasn't quite a yellow mustard looking one. That would be kind of odd, but it was attractive in its own, sense of packaging, but it was yellow. And so when you came down the aisle to look for a gallon of milk, you could not help but see this yellow jug. And so the marketing behind it was that the light that's in the case, from the UV lighting that's in the case, started to affect the product, the milk inside the jug. It would break down the food quality. Now,
oh sure, I've heard that.
I've heard it too. I wonder if it's a PR move. I don't know if I'm not a scientist or whatever, but it seemed to make sense. And so it justified him having this yellow opaque case. But ultimately what it did is it set him apart from 10 other vendors that were in the case. And so my eye said, well, that's different. I'm going to maybe go to it. So sales went up. Another situation in the beer cooler aisle. All of us remember my first beer that I fell in love with. Of course, when I was 18, it was legal to drink beer. So Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. Well, it was in a clear glass bottle. And the reason they did that is because they billed themselves as the champagne of beers. It was a lager. It is a lager. And a lager is very color-wise, looks like champagne, and it's, if you've ever had Miller High Life, I'm sure at some point in our lives, all of us have had Miller High Life. When you pour it, it bubbles up like champagne. Well, all beer manufacturers put their beer in a clear glass bottle. And the idea was that you could see the different ambers and colors, and you could see the product and feel like, oh, I can taste it. Well, here comes Michelob. And Michelob starts putting their beer in a dark, opaque bottle. It's a dark brown bottle. Milwaukee, I know a little bit about beer in the old days. Old Milwaukee did the same thing. Well, why did they do that? Well, they said the light in the cooler cases would break down the beer. Really? I mean, how long is it going to stay in the cooler? They put it out there, someone's going to buy it. But that was their campaign. And this happened before the milk people did it. So I think that the beer bottling came before the milk people did what they did. But it set Michelob apart in those oddly shaped brown bottles. They didn't have a long neck to them like most of the beer manufacturers used, but it had a slightly different shaped bottle, contoured bottle, and it was brown versus clear. And so that is about differentiation. Now, does that make me a strange person that I notice those sort of things? When we're out walking about, I look at that stuff and go, oh, look, they're differentiating themselves in the marketplace. And my wife is like, just get the gallon of milk and move on, will you? So,
yeah.
But that's what we're talking about. That's differentiation. Now we're not beer or gallons of milk. So how do we do that as salespeople and small business owners that provide a service and a product? And the goal is we can't really just manufacture that because we don't know what people need. So the way we do it is we listen to our clients and our customers and our prospects, and we let them tailor the bottle that we need to produce. You know what I mean? So instead of us walking around and saying, look at me, I'm a brown bottle or I'm a yellow jug, we listen carefully because every person we have a chance to be in front of is going to have a need for a slightly different solution. And it's when we tailor that solution, it's like getting a suit. I'm 6'4" and 260 pounds, and my shoulders might be wider than the guy who's another guy that's 6'4" and 260 pounds. Maybe my inseam length is shorter or longer, whatever. So just because I'm that height and weight doesn't mean my suit's going to fit the next guy or vice versa. And so that's why we go to a tailor and we have it customized to our fit. And that's what we're talking about doing for the solutions for our customers. And the only way we can do that is be intentional, purposeful, participatory listeners and jot some notes down while we're there. So great job, man. That's a success story. And it's cool to have that happen because it's reinforcement that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then you're going to say, hey, I'm just going to do that again. Good stuff.
And I think these episodes are very valuable and one of the reasons being we need refreshers. I mean, I've been around for many, many years, and so all this sales talk is not new to me. But sometimes it kind of goes away. Certain things go away. You get into a pattern, and you're overlooking things you should be doing. So, again, I like the word refresher because in listening to these episodes, then, we're going to see something that and stop and think, gosh, I haven't been doing that. I really need to start looking at that again. It's helpful.
Well, I don't want to, you've heard the saying, it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks.
Yes, I have.
I put myself in that group. So yes, it is. But it takes an old dog to have an open mindset, to be coachable, to be teachable. It's not uncommon. My wife gets more credit for this than she deserves. She's the first one to tell me that I'm set in my ways, or, well, it's a whole nother podcast. But the point is, we're all creatures of habits, and water finds the least objective way to get to where it wants to go. Water finds the most least resistance to get where it wants to go. And so we humans do the same thing, by the way. We get up in the morning and we look for shortcuts in our day that we can finally get to the finish line and say, okay, well, I can get on to what I want to do and do something else. But it's that systematic approach that I talk about oftentimes, that we have a model that works. And some days we just don't feel like doing it. We got other things on our mind and other objectives that we want to accomplish. But our business, I say this, I'm starting to say it more and more often, is really like that woman on the bobbin factory in the fabric factory in North Carolina I always talk about. It's the same job over and over and over and over and over again. But I think personally, the thing that saves me from having to change all those bobbins from 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon is our bobbins are different, meaning that we get to meet personalities during the course of our day in sales and business ownership. We get to interact with other people. And I'm a person, and I know you are, who genuinely loves talking to people and getting, I'm just fascinated by why people do the things they do and how did they get there, what motivates them to do things, and how can I help them achieve their goals. That's really the things that fascinate me. And so in that fabric line that I talk about where the lady's changing all those bobbins, it's the same bobbins. I guess she could make a different color thread that day, but we get the benefit of meeting new people and interacting with different personalities during the course of our day. That is life-saving to me. I mean, it is the juice that makes me go, that I get to talk to someone else, learn about their needs, and just like we're doing today. And I know, Peggy, you do the same thing. You have a heart of gold for the customers that you serve and your friends. And it's that type of personality that I just love being around. And so it works. But yes, we are, to coin a phrase, old dogs, and we're show dogs. So definitely we're pedigree, I guess we should say.
Okay, that's like that.
Sounds a little better. Yeah, I should probably stop there. But anyway, okay, that's yet another awesome one. I forgot to see the time we started. I think we started at about 9:08. So that means we're trucking along about the same distance every time we do this. So that means something's working for that. Anything else that's coming up that you want to share with the audience, or I don't know.
No, I think I'm good now.
Okay.
This is a great
What is
start for my set.
what is spring like for your business? I mean, historically, is spring pick up? I mean, things are people, their marketing strategies.
Spring used to be for many, many years, the start of writing business. You know, we get through the holidays and January is just January, February, just dead. It
Yeah.
used to be. Okay. It's all changing. And I don't know if it's since the pandemic, but it's all kind of changing around, because we had our markets, you know, spring market and then fall, and then of course holiday, you know. And then at one point people quit buying holiday. They just stopped. Now they're back to doing a little bit more of that. So it's still changing to the point where I can't say to you, you know, spring is our best market, although I think it probably still is right now, because people start going to trade shows and getting out and seeing people and finding purpose for utilizing promotional products. So that's what spring does. And then holiday, I guess, will be the next one. But
Okay.
yeah, I guess bottom line is it's changing.
Well, we're writing new norms, maybe. Who knows?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this is probably a good time for us to wrap up, so we don't get long in the tooth here and bore people. Hopefully, people will listen to the end. Again, my name is David Theus. I'm here with Peggy Lynch of 21K Promotions out of St. Augustine, Florida. And if you're listening to us or watching us here on, I'm going to speak to the camera today, speak to the audience. If you're watching us here today on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, assuming you like the show. And if you don't like the show, just move on. Don't check anything. But subscribe with us so that you can see when we have new episodes, at least every Saturday coming up. And if you're listening to us by audio on Spotify or somewhere else that you get your podcast, subscribe, like, and follow along with us, and share us with a friend, maybe a coworker or a fellow business person that you think could benefit from today's conversation. Please share us. And again, I'm David Theus, the Small Business Patriot, and this is another episode of the Saturday Morning Coaching Call. And until I see you again soon, we're going to get together, hopefully, this Thursday. Are you going to be able to make it out to the river? Maybe.
Not sure. I would love to do that. I love that place.
Yeah, I know. You're kind of.
I've got issues.
You don't need another thing to be on the mend about. But no, I get you. But I'll get it a plug. We're going to be at the River House on Thursday, whatever that is, the 31st, maybe, or whatever that last Thursday is. What is that?
31st.
31st.
It is 31st.
It's a private event, but you know, we're going to be at the River House enjoying some adult beverages and some food and the beautiful St. John's River. So it doesn't matter to you guys, but and the next time we see you, let's have a great week. Let's be successful, be purposeful. And I look forward to catching up with you next week.
Excellent. Have a great weekend too, David.
All right, dear. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.